I'm Ariana Grande.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Erivo.
And you're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Visit bpn.fm to discover more.
There's a cat over here. There's a cat over there. And the wrong one died. And the wrong one died.
Welcome to The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the catastrophe. I'm your host, Mike Abrams, and today we have another amazing guest. You might have seen him more recently in the Broadway production as one of the puppeteers of Richard Parker in Life of Pi, but before he was a tiger, he was a cat. He was in 2 regional productions of Cats and the U.S. Tour 5, and then was Tumblebrutus in the 2016 Broadway Revival. So welcome, Andrew Wilson. Thank you for joining me.
Hey, Mike. Thank you for having me on. An honor.
I am excited to have you on. I know we've talked about this for a while, and then I did see Life of Pi recently and loved it, was floored by how amazing the puppeteering is and the set, and just a really cool production. I'm very sad to hear it's closing soon, but hopefully this will maybe send some people your way to see it for the last couple of weeks before it closes.
Yes, come to the other Jellicle junkyard, also known as the Pacific Ocean.
Exactly. Well, before we get to Life Pi, we'll talk about that for sure, and I do want to compare the show to Cats. But let's start with your Cats history. So you've been in the tour and regional productions and the Broadway Revival, but when was your first introduction to the show? Was it the 98 movie, or was it seeing as a kid?
So I grew up in a household that wasn't a musical theater whatsoever. I had heard of Cats. The first song I had ever heard was Mungo Jerry and Rumpelteazer. And I remember doing like a talent show dance to it, a solo, because that Broadway recording is just Mistopheles singing it, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So
it's
interesting.
Just one. Yeah, they didn't have a Rumpelteazer they wanted to sing, so that's why they just had just one cat sing the whole song.
Yeah, wild. So anyway, that was my first time I had heard of it. But then I moved to New York City in 2004. And one of my friends was in this kind of now infamous production of Cats in, I think it was called the Count Basie Theater in New Jersey, where there was that Mistopheles, who's
The very famous Mistopheles.
I was at that performance, actually.
Okay.
And was dazzled by the show. And anyway, so shortly after that, I auditioned for the U.S. Tour 5. Not knowing what I was getting into. I didn't know the dance combination, and that has been the audition cut for decades. So I just kind of came in, and everyone around me knew the dance, and I was learning it and picking it up. And so that's how I all got started in 2006. That was when I joined the tour.
First time seeing the show was seeing one of the most famous YouTube clips of Cats, of the Mistopheles that did not. I know the backstory of that. I did hear. It was the choreographer.
The choreographer that went on.
And went on for like an emergency injury.
Yes.
And it went viral in the Cats world for sure. And that was your first time seeing it live. That was my first time seeing.
And I feel like, it's such like an urban legend. Like, oh my God, no one believes me that I thought, but I actually have the program still. And you can see my friend in the back of the video. So yeah, I saw that. And then I joined the tour shortly after.
That is, I want to talk to your friend. I've been dying to get the guy on. I've reached out to him and he's not responding to me.
Yeah.
Who did it? Just to hear, it's such a weird story because obviously it went viral and it's like everyone pokes fun at him, but I'm like, this is an emergency cover of somebody who had to do it at the very last second, who is a very, very good dancer, who was a choreographer.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a very unique story that's got a weird vibe to it. And I want to hear his version, but he's not interested in telling it to me.
Yeah, totally. So
maybe your friend will tell me from being on stage
I'll
during that
connect
day
you
what
too.
it's like. Yeah. So you see it, and then you obviously get cast as a swing in the 5th tour.
Yeah, I was cast as a swing. It was called the 25th anniversary tour, which Troika Entertainment really stretched out, I swear, over like 6 years. But we were the 25th anniversary tour. I was 20 years old. I had never been a swing before. And I was the kitten swing. So my roles at the time were Pounceable, Mistopheles, Mungo Jerry, Tumblebrutus, and then later on in the tour they added Plato McCavity to me. I had never left the country aside from, not that Canada is leaving the country, but I hadn't left North America before, and one of our first stops was Brazil for a month. And we also went to Chile, and like that tour was pretty amazing. And the cast is still working to this day. So
yeah. It was an interesting tour because it went for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And it was, the start of the tour was kind of wild. And then there's all these like little moments I hear about more and more as I've talked to people throughout the years of that tour of like, went to some cool places or had like the 25th anniversary kind of version. And then it got renamed for a hot minute for something. And so it's kind of unique to hear how all the different years of that tour was slightly there. But for you, that was your first time on tour. Was the first time doing a swing track? Like that's a skill that's very different than being on every night for one role.
Yeah. When I was 18, I did my first national tour, which was Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. And we were doing, like 5 or 6 cities a week, very much in the non-union bus and truck touring world. The cast felt like a step up, even though it was also considered a non-union bus and truck tour. We certainly weren't flying to Brazil and Chile on that Seven Brides tour. But yeah, I didn't know about swinging at all. And so I didn't really have a strategy going in other than to just learn everything and just constantly review it in my head. I don't know. Now people have note cards, iPad programs, and all sorts of stuff. And I just I had to get to the point where I could just do it without even thinking. So I would just review it as much as possible.
Yeah, it's such a skill that, like, as someone who does it, I can't even fathom learning one show, one track, one show, one dance. Like, it's not just my skill set.
Yeah.
To learn 5, 6, and then do them back and forth every night. Like, especially in CATS, where I've talked to some swings who were Bon Bellier and Demeter. It's like, you're going to do the exact same number, and you're going to flip sides and flip lines and flip everything. Like, that is just such a skill.
Here's what I'll say, though. So I was the swing dance captain of the Newsies tour, and I covered 18 Newsies.
18 tracks.
And that is a number line show, meaning we're using a number line and everything has to be very precise, because if you're on stage left 5 and you're supposed to be on stage left 4, someone literally comes sliding through your legs. And if you're in the wrong spot, you're hitting people in the head. Like, it was a very stressful, dangerous show if you were in the wrong spot. And 18 tracks is just too much to juggle. Whereas CAT, there is no number line. There's just the painting. I'm sure someone in your podcast has spoken about that, but we use our spacing based on literally the painting. It's interesting to me that now I'm playing a tiger, but one of the prominent features of the stage was the tiger face. So maybe a little foreshadowing, but I would say swinging a number line show versus swinging CAT. I actually found CAT to be easier to swing. It's a little bit more of like an amoeba of a show. You can kind of make your own choices and figure out your own pattern to a degree. So that I actually think took a little bit of the stress away. But yeah.
Yeah, there's also a lot going on stage at all times, that it's not like you're the sole focus at any moment, or like you're saying with Newsies, the danger of like, this has to be precise. I would assume as Tumblebrutus, you probably had some more because you're doing the flipping and a lot more of the acrobatic stuff that maybe there it's like you've got to be a little bit more exactly in the right spot, or you might backflip into somebody type of thing.
Yeah, the tumbling stuff is actually easy. Like, they give you lots of room. It's the solo moment. That I was always like, okay, that's nothing. It's more like remembering where you are in, like Gumby Cat, or remembering your lyric to what solo line you're doing in Jellicle song.
Yeah. I also thought, like, what part of the train are you building? Like, are you a wheel today, or are you the light at the top? Where are you in that? Okay, so you then move forward to regional productions, and you did Mistopheles.
Yeah.
In Texas and Pittsburgh?
Yeah. Casa Manana in Fort Worth, and Pittsburgh Philo in Pittsburgh. And Richard Stafford, who was the dance supervisor of the Broadway production for a decade, had set the US 5 tour. And then he called me out of the blue and was like, hey, I have someone that dropped out of CAT. Would you be willing to film a little something? I haven't seen you in years. So I did conjuring turns and a little bit of the Jellicle ball, sent it to him. And he was like, great, you're hired. And then he hired me for Pittsburgh CLO, 6 months later. So I got to do that role twice, which was really fun.
I love it. So you basically are like, all right, as a not a kid, but early on, the first show you ever saw was the infamous turns, and you're like, I can do this. I've got it.
We got it. I mean, I definitely was insecure. I was like, I'm like a gymnast, athletic, dancer, musical theater style. I'm not like giving you like wild ballet. Like that's not my forte. I mean, I can do it, but so I thought I was cast the wrong person like the entire time. And Richard Stafford, who's a legend and is a super kind man, came up to me in Fort Worth during tech, and he was like, Andrew, I don't know why I just gave him a British accent, but he was like, Andrew, can I talk to you? What are you doing in August? And I was like, I don't know. And he was like, do you want to do CATS at Pittsburgh CLO? So Jeff, it's confirmation to believe in yourself. If someone hands you an opportunity, don't go, oh no, this is the wrong person. No, me. Just step into it. So
yeah. So that was almost what, 10 years from when you did the tour. Like there was a pretty big gap in between, not gap, but like you did a bunch of other things between that and then going on. And then it was a pretty short year or two before the revival happens.
Yeah. Yes. It was really neat. I tend to have a steel trap memory for choreography. So I actually remembered nearly all of it. Especially being a swing for that show. But, yeah, it was really, it's a neat journey going from like seeing that production in New Jersey to then being on the tour and then doing it regionally. And then, Broadway I thought I had hung up my cat shoes. I was like, oh God, Newsies just destroyed my body. I was 30 at the time, which is very young, but still for like cat, I just always think of like the youngest, brightest talent.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was pretty shocked.
So, and then you now go in and you're doing the new choreography. So you got to be able to do both. How is that experience, especially as a dancer, like to, obviously have the original and this very historic one, which many of the fans will tell you should never have been touched. And then you've got, a legend in Andy Blankenbuehler coming in and doing this newer, updated version.
Yeah.
How is it one learning that show in the new choreography, having done it already 3 times in the old one, and then also just like the differences between the two?
Yeah, it helped having the framework for sure. However, I remember we weren't eligible to be nominated for the Tony Award because we hadn't supposedly changed. You had to have like at least 60% of the choreography change for it to count. And as someone who knows CATS, the original inside and out, I was like, oh no, this is definitely more than 60% changed. And I find it interesting because there's other choreographers who do revivals that have used major pieces of other choreography and have been nominated for like very small dance sequences. I'm like, that's interesting. Anyway, Andy Blankenbuehler, when I think of him, I think of someone who works extremely well with the technical designers of a show. He works really well with set designers and lighting designers. Like you watch Hamilton and it just looks like Andy is holding like a bouquet of light over the stage. And so much of the work is done through lighting. And so one of the things I appreciated about the new version was how much lighting took effect in our show. I mean, there were so many spiraling light sequences. I loved the new way that we uncovered Old Deuteronomy whenever he would like throw the finger lights at us and we would catch them. I think you can do so much with lighting, whereas I thought the original, which was revolutionary at the time, it does just kind of look like spacecraft lighting, dark moodiness, that it didn't really like add much choreographic texture to the show. And when I think of doing CATS in the revival, I remember like, I'd just be like laying on the ground or on my knees somewhere, and you would just see like a spiral of a lift, and like you would see an arm lift up to a light and then just descend back into the chaos. And I thought that was so beautiful. But I think both have their merit, for sure.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And it's so interesting for me as someone who doesn't know anything about dancing and never saw, besides the 98 movie, any version of the original. I've only seen 2016 forward.
Oh,
and
really?
So I'm like, because I didn't know much about this until the revival. And that's kind of how my journey started, was with the revival and Leona Lewis and seeing the preview of that. And so as I talk to more super fans and they were in it from day one, are passionate about the choreography. I'm like, they dance, right? I'm like, I don't know the difference between any of it. So to me, it's kind of a fun piece of it. Cool. I want to go to the story that you're told, though, because I don't think we've done a great job of fully telling Tumblebrutus' story on this podcast. I feel like we've gotten a little pieces of it, but because I've had a couple in the past. But what were you especially in 2016? You're doing the whole Felinity School, all this stuff you're going through. What is the Tumblebrutus backstory that you had to? What were you told, and what did you have to create to kind of build your character's kind of arc?
I came in as a replacement. So I started rehearsal in early January of 2017 with a wonderful associate named Kim Craven and the dance captain at the time was Corey Johnson, who is a wonderkind, and Claire Camp, who is astonishing.
Claire might be one of the most knowledgeable cast people you'll ever meet.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting. Okay.
Oh,
great.
yeah.
To dive in with her. She's wonderful. I've listened to the podcast and I've heard enough cast members talk about these 3 words that they were given.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I think that they did say them, and I probably wrote them down somewhere, but that's not cats at all to me. I'm like, great. Okay. Moving on. To me, it was more so Richard Stafford at NOLA Studios in New York City, spending legitimately an entire week. People love saying that they went to Felinity School. In every production of CATS I've ever seen, I have never seen anyone come close to what Richard Stafford did with us. The amount of times that we would practice for hours, and actually Lights Up Tide, Richard Tesla work reminds me of this. Hours, just learning how to go from crawling on your knees, stopping, sniffing, gathering your senses, and then pulling up from your spine to a standing position. And while you're doing it, he would have our Grisabella leave the room, and then he would throw phone books around the room. We'd have to stop and react for a full hour. And then you'd have Grisabella enter and really teach the adult cat to shoo the kittens away. We didn't even touch choreography for the first week. And I think that getting that in your body where it is so just intrinsically a part of your movement, it served me way more than 3 words when I couldn't even tell you what they were. I'm sure someone on the US tour now could say all of Tumblebrutus' 3 words. But those did not track for me.
Yeah, that's really interesting that your version of how do you best portray this character, or really all the characters that you played, was more about embodying a cat and not this cat's personality. Well, there's much more of that.
Yeah, I definitely had a personality. I'm not saying that. I was just saying I know that there's a lot of this 3 word thing or whatever that is, and that was not my journey. I did, however, do a lot of character study with Tumblebrutus, and I kind of chose that he was abandoned, and his way of surviving the trauma of losing his family was to just really lash out. But he is a deep love inside under all of that. So that's why he gets to claw and be the first one to go bonkers, but then is also one of the first ones to just completely melt and go and try to touch Victoria or have the adult cats really love on Tumble. So he's just a really caustic, reactive cat. He's reactive first, reflective second, but he was kind of taught to be that way. I don't even like using a gender with him, though. I hate that I'm saying that. Tumblebrutus the cat can be anything. And yeah, so that's kind of where I was building a lot of my stuff from to help explain why this cat was always trying to be at the front of things, always doing these explosive tumbling passes, which to, an audience might be oh, wow, flashy dance move. But to me, I would build up so much tension in my brain of trying to understand what was happening in a scene that my only way was to to survive it was to thirst on and make my attention be known so that people could help me. So that was kind of where I found reasoning behind Tumble's really explosive, really dynamic mind-shifting ways around the stage.
Yeah, so it's interesting because like I've always wondered, is Tumble the love child of a couple of the different cats? And you're saying no, you were abandoned and kind of almost embraced by the Jellicle tribe, and that's where a lot of the like decisions and personality comes out, is because this is an adopted family basically. It's not the you're the parents.
Yeah, and I don't even trust the adoption process in that. Like I think I still come from this survival mode of like, I need to do everything to prove that I'm worthy, which I think is also for a lot of dancers part of just our life as well, that I was probably bringing into my role. But because I would sit there and I'd be like, okay, why am I doing these things? Like, why am I tumbling? Why am I running and doing these turns? Why am I exploding and sliding and blah, blah, blah? And so I just started recognizing that in my own life. Why do I do X, Y, and Z things? Oh, it's usually some sort of survival technique that was thrust upon me. And so I find that as Tumblebrutus the entirety of the show. And in a way, I don't even think the cats like brought me in per se. I think I just showed up and like did some crazy stuff, and they don't really always know what to do with me. And but in the end, I do trust and fall into the loving embrace of especially Old Deuteronomy.
Yeah, you're like a wedding crasher almost.
A wedding crasher like who was just stranded and abandoned, and is just trying to figure out all the feelings that he has going on.
Yeah, that's an interesting parallel too. I hadn't thought about it from that angle for sure. I kind of like the like wedding crasher vibe of like, all right, I'm here. You can have enough conversations about, one of the uncles or one of the aunts on somebody's side. And everyone's just like, yeah, sure, they're a good time. Like, come on. And so it's like beats the adoption piece, but still allows you to be part of the party.
Yeah.
Did you spend as much time obviously thinking about the character backstories for Bustopher and then when you were a swing, or was it again much more of the dance motions and the being a cat type of like body movement?
Well, like I said before, it's not that my entire process for US Tour 5 and regional was just like salinity. That was just like the initialness of it all, because I can't just react differently than humans do. And so the only way for that I could even remotely begin to develop a personality was to understand their senses and their reaction to things. So I think that's why I was saying, like, when I started Broadway rehearsals, if I know I was given these 3 words, but I needed to, that was so human. And cats are not human. Yeah. And that's like the main thing they're trying to say to you, right? Is like, we are not you. So for me, for Bustopher, it was definitely, I really did try to play up that like effortless, mysterious, even though they get a big giant dance number, I almost wanted to like recede in a way. I kind of liked that in the movie. I kind of liked that he was just like kind of shy. I mean, I guess in the movie he didn't really believe in himself, and I don't think that was my Bustopher. I definitely knew what I was doing, but it was a bit more just like, I arrived exactly when I meant to. I'm going to do this and that, and that is all I need to do.
Interesting.
I was kind of a minimalist Bustopher in that way.
Okay. The movie one was interesting because I always thought of Bustopher, and most of this really does stem from the 98 movie and, Jacob Brand, of like the confident and the magical and the like very like outgoing-ish, especially in their moment. And I think they also added some like very 1990s special effects of like, lightning and fake stuff. So when I saw the 2019 movie, I'm like, was this shy, kind of like reserved, like timid Bustopher? I didn't really like it, but I kind of see what you're saying, which is it's not that. It's not like timid and shy. It's much more of like tactical almost. Like, here's the stuff I need to do, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it well. And but more of like, was it the extroverted introvert? It's like you're going to go out and do your number, but then you need to go home to your wherever the cats live on the side and like watch some TV and kind of relax.
You know how like a Buddha master is just so confident in their knowing that they don't even have to say that. They just know.
Yeah.
They just are. They just exist. To me, that was Misophones to me.
Mm-hmm.
There was no questioning. There was no need to go so over the top. I would say, did you catch Zach Downer on Broadway as Misophones?
I don't. So I saw.
He closed the
I
revival.
saw it. So probably not then. I could have to go look at the playbills. I have them still. I saw the second to last preview and then almost to the date a year later.
Yeah. Okay. Ricky Aveda, who opened it, is so astonishing. I can't get over it. It's still burned in my mind how amazing he was. Zach Downer placed him and took such a different spin on it, and to me was a bit more aligned with kind of what I think of the role. He was almost like a surgeon on stage. Everything was so precise and so, like I said, he knew exactly the amount of energy that one little moment would need to do exactly what he wanted to do. And it added this mystery, right? Because you're like, how on earth did he do it? It's like watching Roger Federer play tennis.
Yeah.
Roger Federer, you watch Rafael Nadal and Andy Roddick and all these players, they're sweating, they're running all over the court. And Roger Federer, I swear, never breaks a sweat and just goes, ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
Always goes exactly where it is. So everyone has this mystery of Roger Federer, oh my God, how do they do it? And because he already knows. He just knows where it's going to go. And Misophones, I guess, to me, is a bit of the Roger Federer.
I love that. Anytime we can compare sports to cats, we lose listeners for about a minute, but I love it because it's what
I'm a gay man that
it's
loves tennis and figure skating, so I guess those are fairly aligned.
Spot on though of his effort. It's a perfect parallel to it because I know exactly what you're talking about. That backhand that Federer doesn't even look like he swings, and it goes exactly one-handed, exactly where he wants it to.
And then there's some Misophones, though, and they're totally right in doing it, that it is like a free-ring circus. It is exhausting. It is so larger than life and wild, and the audience loves it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just there's just different takes on it, but I was really just profoundly touched by watching the Roger Federer of Zach Downer.
Yeah. And that's, I think, the beauty of the show. Because you can have the same character, the same dance with slightly different takes that doesn't change the essence of the show, but does make it a different experience for someone who goes and sees it many times. I think that's what's really cool about Cats. We're going to take a quick break and then we'll be back for more of The Wrong Cat Died. Let's pivot to Life of Pi because you went from a cat to a tiger and also a bunch of you puppeteered a lot of different animals I noticed throughout watching it. Amazing show. I know we got a couple weeks left and we're putting this out right away so people can still come see it. What should somebody expect when they come to see this amazing show?
So Life of Pi is based on Jan Martel's book of the same title. It is, in a nutshell, about a young Indian boy who finds himself on a lifeboat in the middle of the Pacific Ocean with an orangutan, a zebra, a hyena, and a Bengal tiger. But of course, it is about so much more than that. Pi is an irrational infinite number, and I like to say that is exactly what the story is. You can watch it and take away 9,000 things from it. For me, I like to view that Richard Parker, who's the name of the tiger, is Pi, and is kind of Pi's infinite, beautiful, spotless, shiny soul that just goes on in every direction. And no matter how mean Pi is and how many awful thoughts Pi wishes upon this tiger that he's in this lifeboat with, the tiger never leaves him and is always there for him. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if any listeners have ever felt this way, but I often feel lost and directionless and doubtful and what am I doing? And putting myself in that lifeboat in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Pi thinks he needs his family and food and all these things. I think I need, a boyfriend, money, a Broadway show, like all these things we think we need. And, the universe kind of slowly has a way of stripping those things away from you and just bringing you down to the hyena, the zebra, the sea turtle, the orangutan, they all fade away. And in the end, it's literally just Pi and Richard Parker in this boat. And Pi has this moment where he turns to him and says, Richard Parker, can I tell you something? I'm scared of you, but when I'm with you, I feel better. And that is that moment where you go, oh, right. If I can just somehow figure out how to tune out all the ego voices and all the things that I think I need to be happy and all the money and all the love and everything, and I can just hone in on myself, I do start to feel better. And then from there, Pi survives. Pi tells Richard Parker, I'm alive because of you. And then the final line of the show is he says, I love you completely. But also within that, the people interviewing Pi say, like, this is silly. You were on a lifeboat with a tiger. How did you survive that? And he goes, do you see Richard Parker? He was real, like eyes that penetrated your soul, teeth that were so ferocious, like this scary, primal, wild being. And I think another way of interpreting that, if I think Richard Parker the tiger is Pi, or we are all Richard Parker, is I think we're all scared of our potential, or many of us are. I'm scared of my own potential. That's why I sometimes don't go and do this and don't fully commit to that. And I live in this wishy-washy land because I'm actually scared of this ferocious, fanged tiger inside of me. So it's a real honor. People always say, how do you do a show 8 times a week? And with Life of Pi for the first time in my life, I go, I have to do this show 8 times a week. I need to hear this story 8 times a week. But yeah, it's my second time playing a cat on Broadway and, my second time on a rake stage on Broadway, which is a whole other experience. But it's a huge honor. The story, the show is so beautiful. It really is about how there are 9 million infinite possibilities of a story of how people experience something, but they all arrive at the same thing. Yeah. And it's kind of your choice to, what do you believe in?
Yeah, it's one of those things that, like, I read the book probably in high school and don't remember anything about it. Yep. And then saw this, and beyond, the performances are incredible, and the stage and the lighting and the way that they do the boat, and I mean, everything about the way it was set up is just so visually incredible. And so I'm like, I want people to go see it. It is a powerful story. It's a very, very cool experience. And I just was there. Like, I know when I walked in last week, it was like, there was also like a high school group walking in. I'm like, great. I would have much rather go watch you all than read that book. So I do think it's like a very, again, powerful and moving story with a really, really amazing, like the stuff you do with the puppet, like with the puppets and the animals is so cool and so unique. And then the whole boat and the set and all the stuff moving around is just like, it's fascinating to watch. So there's a couple weeks left. I hope I'll link how to go get tickets in this. You can get tickets. Definitely. There's Rush. There's tickets. There's a lot of ways to get tickets. Yeah. So definitely go. And I want to, go ahead.
Go on, Mike, sorry.
I was gonna say, I want to compare the cats to the characters in Pi, because it's like one of my favorite things to do is which personality fits which characters.
Yeah.
I actually think these lined up a lot better than I was expecting. There's a couple that are a little bit of a stretch, but sometimes the shows I'm like, none of these match. Like none of these cats, like you can't put the cat in any of these. But
yeah.
I actually think that there's a couple that line up here pretty well.
Okay.
So I know you said you hadn't thought about this at all. I've thought about this a lot.
I hadn't thought about it. So I'm excited to hear.
This is fun. Let's start with Pi.
Let's start with Pi in terms of in the Jellicle jump care.
Yeah. So if you were going to cast, which cat do you think personality gives the best? Would be Pi. Like if I'm going to say I'm going to put this cat as the cat's personality, like their story, who would be the best Pi cat?
I think the easy choice in my head is to go Pounceable or Tumblebrutus, but
okay.
But I'm also here for the ensemble, so going along the lines of what I think Tumblebrutus is, this reactive, non-reflective cat. I could see Pi being similar to that because Pi learns to be reflective, but it's kind of reacting to all the things around him. What do you think?
I went Monkish Trap because I was like, he's the one telling me the story. So I felt like he's got a little bit of narrator. He's a lot less serious than Monk. You know, Monk's very feels straight and narrow and serious, and Pie's like very funny and has a great time. But I kind of took the lens of Pie's keeping me on track of the story and telling a lot of it, and that's the way I felt Monk is. It's like Monk's the one keeping us on track, telling the story.
I always find Monk's trap to be that, I'll just speak as a gay man, you walk into a club and there's that person who just has all their shit together. Like, to me, that is Monk's trap, and it's someone I really actually don't identify with whatsoever, and they're kind of someone I don't want to be around. I find Pie, I guess just because Pie is 16, 17 in the show, that I put him in the teenager category.
Put him younger,
I think maybe Poundful. I'm going to go Poundful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do the cook.
I'm going to say the easy choice is to go McCavity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because the cook is kind of the villain of the story. You?
So I went McCavity as well. I do have McCavity fit another spot, though. So I thought like the pre-boat cook, I kind of got a little Bustopher Jones vibe, like a little bit of humor, a little bit of like the, and then Cook and kind of a big guy. Bustopher Jones is a big cat. So I kind of went that route, but it was between those two, because I was like, I think the Cook had two very different stories. There's the beginning Cook and then there's the end Cook.
Yeah. It's interesting. Bustopher Jones, by the way, is my favorite character in the entirety of CATS. You can ask Revival one, Christopher Brewery, and my one on tour, Chris Fedoli. Like, Bustopher Jones, I'm the happiest performer on stage during that number. You
might be the only person that's ever said that.
Oh my God, Bustopher is amazing. He's amazing. Anyway, I agree. I think he is. Okay. I think the cook is McCavity, and in our story, for listeners who don't know, the cook can also be interpreted as the hyena in the lifeboat of animals, but also the cook / hyena could also be another facet of Pie's personality.
Yeah. So they all can kind of come back to that. So yeah, that's good.
So I think that really all of the cats have moments where they are the cook. I think Jenny Anydots can be a straight up, and so I could see a little cook in her.
Okay. Let's do the parents. So Amma and the father.
And Baba, yeah. Let me hear yours while I think.
Well, I went very traditional, just parents in the show. So I went Old Deuteronomy as the dad and Jenny Anydots as the mom. But I don't think the personalities line up as much. Like, the mom does not feel very Jenny. It's just she's motherly.
Yeah.
So I feel like the mom was probably more personality-wise, like a Jelly Laura.
Yeah, I would say Jelly.
But and I think the dad, Old Deuteronomy kind of fit for the dad, but I think you could also go a Skimble Shanksish, like, again, I was going more on age on those than it was like personality styles.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like stripping away age and obviousness and thinking about Amma. Yeah, I could see Amma, the mom being like, I could see Amma being like Skimbleshanks, actually. Because Skimble's always like making sure everything's done and taking care of everyone and making sure Deuteronomy and everyone's happy. Well, actually, I would do a gender swap for that one.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
And then Baba, the dad, I mean, in the My Big Fat Greek Wedding movie, how the mom is like, yes, the husband is the head of the family, but the woman is the neck. She makes the head turn wherever she wants it to. Baba is that to me. Like, Baba, she's making decisions for the family, but really the mom is like, come over here. So I think in a way, what character is like that?
I don't know if there is one.
That seems to be in charge, but is actually kind of recessive. I don't know. I'll come back.
That's a good, I don't think there is a character like that, but I do like that answer. All right, let's do the last one. Let's do Richard Parker.
Well, to me, Richard Parker is Old Deuteronomy. I don't think of Old Deuteronomy as a dad at all. I think of Old Deuteronomy as, once again, the infinite spirit, the one, the connection. I was raised in a small town in Pennsylvania that Hinduism was a polytheistic religion. And as I now am in a show where the lead character is Hindu, and also just growing up and becoming an adult and learning that Hinduism, as far as I can gather, is neither polytheistic nor monotheistic. All of the gods are the same, and they all represent an infinite number of things. And so to me, Old Deuteronomy is that. Old Deuteronomy is everything and one thing all at the same time.
Yeah.
Old Deuteronomy may not even exist. Old Deuteronomy may not even be a cat. Old Deuteronomy might just literally be all of their connected thoughts coming together.
Yeah. I get hung up on the show with lyrics because there's just so little to work off of besides that. It's like dance number and lyrics, and it's hard for me with staging. Like, I have the 98 movie and nothing else.
Yeah.
To like go back to consistently define, and that's very much they're going to point me where they want me to look. So Old Deuteronomy having 99 wives is where I'm like, he's just the dad of everybody. Like, there's no way that's the case. So I've hung on to that lyric a lot.
Yeah.
But I do think that that's the right
moments
answer.
of happiness. Like, that song can give me a trippy headache trying to interpret it.
Yeah.
You ever do that? Like, read the lyrics and you're like...
There's one lyric that stuck with me that really concerns me is McCavity's committed every human law or broke every human law. Because that just is like, if you think about every human law, there's a lot that are very unpleasant to think about. Like, has he really done everything that's illegal? Like, that's a lot of things, and that can have some very, very unique connotations that, like, we don't want to get into. And so that's the one lyric.
Yeah. Interesting, too, that the CATS would even try to compare with human laws.
Yeah, with human law.
You know, so maybe broke the human laws, but the CATS, they don't care. Just like we watch a lion tear apart an antelope and we're like, oh, that's horrifying. But that's breaking human law, but not breaking cat law. But I just pulled this up for a second. Yeah. So the moments of happiness, we have the experience, but miss the meaning, and approach to the meaning restores the experience in a different form beyond any meaning we can assign to happiness. And
yeah, that's trippy.
And like I said, it's trippy. It's a lot to process. And I think it's one of those things of like, when everyone wants to be enlightened, but the moment that you go, I'm enlightened, you've missed the meaning of enlightenment.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, but Richard Parker, I'm gonna give Old Deuteronomy, but also every cat in the show.
Yeah. Yep. I like that because that's the N-word looking piece that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Let's do some CATS rapid fire. So if you could go on for one night and perform any track, whether you're capable, male, female, whatever, just if you could just do it, who would you want to go on for one night as?
Tumblebrutus, he's heaven. They're heaven.
Just
my roommate came and saw the show in 2006 and said, what would be your dream role on Broadway? And I said, Tumblebrutus and CATS.
Wow.
Legit, straight up. It happened.
Amazing. Who are your favorite and least favorite cats? It sounds like Bustopher's favorite.
Bustopher, hands down favorite. Love, 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 love. Least favorite, I tend to veer towards Jenny Annie-Dot, but
okay.
Yeah, just like, she's very much like a Dolores Umbridge, and that's not the energy I like.
Who was your Jenny at the time?
Oh, I'd had so many. Cara Fish was on my tour. She's amazing. And then on Broadway, I had Eloise Kropp and Sarah Jenkins, which were such different takes on that role. Because to me, like I said, I feel like the original version, it was Dolores Umbridge. And in the new version, it's like the Rockette that came out of retirement.
So that's why I was asking, because I've interviewed both of them, and they're just so fun and like cheery people and funny people. Like, they're just hilarious. And I'm like, and they do have that vibe. Like, they don't play that Jenny vibe. And I'm like, yeah, how do you two do this?
Amazing. And that number was such an explosion. I mean, wow. Yeah. And that's not, I love Jenny and I love both of them, but I would say Jenny is probably my least favorite.
Yeah. No, I always say take the actor and actresses out of it. It's like purely the cat.
Yeah.
What is your favorite song from the show?
I love There's nothing like sitting in the audience and having that overture start. There's nothing like it. Yeah, I'm going to go overture.
Okay. If one of the cats was stranded in the Pacific Ocean on a boat by themselves, which one is surviving? Like, which cat has the best chance of surviving?
So kind of like the barge from the movie where they were all captured.
Well, I'm thinking of like if you're Pie, if we're Pie, yeah, no, I know that barge out of nowhere.
The one that is surviving, I think the cat who can find peace with themselves is the one who survived. So
okay. So who is that?
I'm gonna say the cat that finds peace with themselves. I mean, I guess Grisabella finds peace. I don't think any of us chose Grisabella at the end. I think Grisabella chooses herself. I think she kind of accepts who she is and realizes like that I'm connected to this tribe, to salinity, to life, to love, and she chooses herself. In my opinion, because again, I'm very hippy dippy into thinking that we're all connected. We're all actually of the same fabric. So I actually think Grisabella's going to do it.
I think that's a good transition because that's my last question, which is I've argued that I don't think she's the right Jellicle choice. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting take that you think that she's just choosing herself, but if you, Andrew, are making your Jellicle choice, who are you picking and why?
Well, I think that the entire show is the movie of Grisabella. Like, I think that the reason why Grisabella is chosen is because this is Grisabella's story. And we just happen to see some of the behind the scenes things happening. She's not there. So once again, I actually think it can be literally any cat. You can pick any cat, and whether they figure it out on this life or their ninth life, like they will eventually, through that reincarnation process, come to find that they're by themselves, and the only thing they really got at the end of the day is themselves, and so they're going to choose themselves. And so, who knows? Tumblebrutus, because that was my cat.
Okay, so if I do keep track of this, if I'm putting down your vote, who am I putting down as your vote?
Let's do Tumblebrutus, because I guess I'm Tumblebrutus, and it's going to be my story. Am I the first Tumblebrutus?
Like I don't think so. Let me see.
Was it another Tumblebrutus who chose Tumble?
Probably. Very likely. Let's see here. Do I have a Tumblebrutus vote? No, I actually think he might be the first.
But I don't choose Tumblebrutus because I think he has these qualities that are so much more qualifying than others. I just literally think every single cat is going to eventually love themselves and realize who they are and embrace it and get chosen to whatever the heaviside layer means to them.
There's the most important question I think of this show is I like the idea of you're saying like we picked Grizz because this is Grizz's story and that's what was written for like us to see that and that was her night, but it could be everybody and everybody will go. Mm-hmm. I kind of go back to if this world was created, what's the criteria that gives for the choice every year? If it's an annual decision, who went last year? Who's going next year? How are you like thinking about this? Does it change?
Well, and what is time?
Yeah.
What is a year?
What's a year?
Once again, it's breaking the human laws, but what's the cat law? This could happen every hour. And like, who really knows? Maybe this is true. Maybe this is literally just, dipping into Grisabella's mind for 2 hours and she has to keep reliving this moment over and over again.
Ooh, I like that. So it's Groundhog's Day of cats.
Yeah. I mean, it could be anything. I mean, anyway, I really believe in the power of infinity. So I think it could be many things. Yeah, I'm going Grisabella, but I'm also going Tumblebrutus, and I'm also going Mike, and I'm also going Andrew, and I'm going podcast listener, and I'm going like we're all the same thing.
Everybody gets everyone gets choice.
To it because at the end of the day, you got to choose yourself.
I love it.
Something I'll just add before, because I know I can sense we're wrapping up, is I remember reading that T.S. Eliot's book of poems came out in the late 30s. And World War II had broken out. And, I would imagine it was like bedtime stories for a lot of people in the UK. And that must have brought them a lot of comfort while there's air raids going on and all sorts of just insanity. And when I think of Andrew Lloyd Webber, then in the 70s, approaching T.S. Eliot's widow with Trevor Nunn and developing this musical, as originally it was like a song cycle, and then they crafted it into more of a musical. I think of the wonderment of watching your bedtime stories come to life on stage. I think that that's why I give permission that not everything. I mean, we don't even really look like cats. You know, we're not like hunched over and crawling the whole time, but we're just kind of these like things bouncing off of your pillow and climbing up your walls and like just the child's imagination just pouring out in front of them. How beautiful to get to watch that. And then in Life of Pi, you know, it takes 3 puppeteers to do Richard Parker. Someone's on the head, someone is inside, which we call the heart, and then there's someone on the hind. And our goal is to be as completely realistic as possible. I hope that when you watch the show, you literally are just watching a tiger. It should look, smell, eat, breathe. The whole thing should look like a tiger. And in that process, you erase the puppeteers from it. Like you don't even really see us after. Did you experience that? I've had a lot of friends.
Yeah.
I didn't even really see you, even though we're very present.
Yeah. No, I didn't notice it as much as I was kind of looking because I also was like knowing that we were going to talk. I'm like, all right, where are you?
Yeah.
But it is you don't really realize, especially the heart, like the heart of the tiger. I was looking constantly trying to be like, where are they in there? And it's like very like well done of how.
Yeah. And we're not wearing like painted unitards or anything. We're literally wearing kind of traditional plain Indian clothes in kind of muted color. But, you know, as an audience member, you're going, I'm going to go along with the imagination of Pi. I am making an agreement with these puppeteers that I am going to put my faith in them that this is a real living animal. And there's a contract between us. And I feel like the contract between the audience and CATS for at least that generation was literally going, I'm signing up for bedtime stories. And I think a lot of people have different theories as to why the show really took off. But to me, it's complete sentimentality of a time of survival. And I think that I would love to see more shows done like that. Like think of some of the poetry and the books and the parts of our childhood that were rituals on stage. I think that could be a really beautiful new musical.
It's living art, you know, it's like a very cool piece of it. And I think that's where it's hard to explain what you're going to go see in Pi without seeing, you know, like I was like, well, the boat's going to crash, but like, how do you do that on stage? And it's like, it's really, really unique. And it's until you see it or even, you know, a clip of it, even the clips of it don't do it justice of seeing it live.
And I would say most theater directors that I've worked with really will take a piece of stage direction in the script that's like, Pi lands in a lifeboat. And it's just kind of like very shoddily done. Like, oh, that's good enough. And in Life of Pi, literally every ounce of stage direction that you read, we do in front of you with not much gimmick. It's really beautiful. So I hope that listeners can come catch it before we close July 23rd.
If you are in New York, this will come out in early July, after the 4th. So you've got a couple weeks to go. I'll link everything on how to go get tickets and definitely come see it. But how can people stay in touch with you, social media, and keep up with everything you're doing after too? Yeah,
so my Instagram handle is at Andrew Wilson NY. So it looks like Andrew Wilsony. I'm constantly posting over there. I teach dance, theater dance and acrobatic for adults in New York City in a place called Broadway Dance Center, which is actually where I'm calling from right now. It's right down the street from Life of Pi. I choreograph, I teach, I perform, I exist, I struggle, I try to make sense of things every day. And ultimately, I try to seek joy.
Yeah, you are your own Jellicle
wherever
choice.
That is. I am my own Jellicle choice, and I hope we are all each other's Jellicle choice, because it's very easy to throw our time and attention into choosing other people, especially if that was a survival technique you were raised on, like Tumblebrutus. So shed that and return to yourself.
Amazing. Well, this has been super fun to talk CATS, Pi, and everything else. And everyone go see the show. And thank you for being here today.
Thanks so much, Mike.
And thanks everyone else for listening to this episode of The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the catastrophe. To follow along, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else you listen to their podcasts. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at The Wrong Cat Died, or check our website, thewrongcatdied.com.